I'm Brian Painter of the Oklahoman and News OK. I'm joined today by Rick Smith, Warning Coordination Meteorologist of the National Weather Service Norman Forecast Office. Thanks very much for joining us, Rick.
Glad to be here, Brian.
Rick, could you please just kind of give us an idea of what you guys are looking at in terms of severe weather and the possibility of severe weather Saturday and Sunday?
Well, we've been looking at the potential for severe weather all week for this weekend, and it's still shaping up to be a wet and stormy weekend for parts of the area, starting late in the day on Saturday. The good news is some of the ingredients that we saw coming together on earlier this week for the weekend are not really lining up just right to cause huge problems, which is good news. There were some indications early in the week where we could have some really significant storms. I think we're still going to have storms, and I think we're still going to have rain and some impacts to people. But I think the tornado potential, for example, is much lower than we were thinking earlier this week. I think from late in the afternoon on Saturday, out in far western Oklahoma, that's where things are going to get kicked off. I think here for central Oklahoma and the Oklahoma City metro area, I think most of our concerns are going to happen after dark and even into the early morning hours on Sunday.
Could you kind of give us an idea? I know one of the major events, there's several outside this weekend, but one of the major events is a memorial marathon on Sunday. Any idea what runners might expect early Sunday morning?
Well, that's obviously a big concern. Lots of people at that event and lots of other events going on as well. I'm afraid it's looking kind of stormy for Sunday morning. I would think rain would be a really good bet. And depending on exactly how the timing works out, it's not out of the question we could even have thunderstorms, potentially even severe thunderstorms going on, at least for parts of the race. I think what we're going to see is thunderstorms moving into central Oklahoma after dark and maybe continuing into the overnight hours. There's potential to even see a second wave of storms develop very late Saturday night, early Sunday morning. So I think people associated with the marathon, whether you're running, whether you're an organizer, whether you're just attending, you really need to keep up with later forecasts because I think it's going to be a mess for early Sunday morning, unfortunately.
You know, two of the many things that you've taught me over the last few years is that the public, we should have an idea of multiple ways to get information, and then after we get that information, know what we're going to do with it. Could you kind of talk about the importance of those two things?
Yeah, those are the key components of a severe weather or tornado safety plan here in Oklahoma. Just having multiple ways to get weather information. The warnings have gotten so much better than what they used to be a few decades ago, and taking advantage of that information. The warnings don't do you any good if you don't have multiple ways to get them. So not just an app on your phone, but also a weather radio, watching the local TV stations. Have a combination of ways. And then you have to know what you're going to do with that information when you get it. So having a plan is good and having information is good, but what are you going to do? In this weekend, we're particularly concerned about people. They might have a plan at their house, but what's their plan if they're at the Rattlesnake Festival in Mangum, or if they're at the Oklahoma City Marathon, or at the Red Hawks game Saturday night? You have to know what you're going to do in every situation. And it doesn't require being obsessive about it, just requires thinking for 2 minutes. Okay, if there's a storm here at the ballpark, what am I going to do? Where am I going to go? And then doing that plan. Ultimately, everybody is responsible for their own safety. The Weather Service is here to help. The TV stations are here to help. You guys are here to help, but we can't do it alone. You are responsible for your safety, so you have to have that plan and take action when the time comes.
Thank you very much, Rick, for your time.
Thanks for having us, Brian. Appreciate it.